Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Wendy Silvers, and you have arrived at the Awakened Mother Show, dialogues with leading edge spiritual teachers, professionals, boots on the ground, moms, dads, and mentors, all in service to children thriving and the mother being given a new role in our world. And there's many forms of mothering. And so we are here to support you in receiving all that will enlighten and inspire and educate you. Disclaimer, everything that is shared here is the speaker's opinion. As always, I invite you to do your own research. And with that, I am so thrilled and delighted to share with you my guest today, Akuyoe Graham. She is an award-winning interdisciplinary artist, educator, and advocate for healing through the arts, who has been involved in the juvenile justice system and helping children realize their spiritual identity. Akuyoe has appeared in a wide variety of productions, both on TV, stage, and film, and she is the founder, CEO, and the executive director of an incredible foundation called Spirit Awakening. And the work that she does is absolutely enlightening and uplifting, transformative. And I just am so proud to know her and honored. And I love that my daughter has her in her life. So please help me welcome Akuyoe Graham.
Hey.
And the crowd goes wild. Oh my God. So grateful for you. Thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Reverend Wendy, for the work that you do in the world. You know, as I was listening to your opening, I was so moved because I know how vital this work is and how needed it is. And I just really admire and love how you are supporting the whole motherhood, that paradigm. And you're one of the earth shakers, helping us to transform what mothering is all about, helping us to make it more whole, to make it more perfect, and you and your husband John have done such an extraordinary job of raising Joy May, who is an amazing young woman.
Thank you.
So
I'm deeply honored. I really feel as though this pathway of mothering, it begins with us remothering ourselves.
yeah.
And the work that you do with Spirit Awakening and the consciousness, right? So for people that are watching, that I'm using the word consciousness, I'm talking about your awareness, where you live, where you are steeped in your thoughts and your impressions. And you, from the minute I met you, you carry with you this high vibratory frequency. So
Thank you.
you exemplify that very famous quote, "Who you are speaks so loudly, you need not utter a word."
I love that quote. It's one of my favorite
Yeah,
quotes.
me too. Me too. So you are an artist, you are the executive director, you are mama to so many children. Can you speak to what the trajectory of your life that led you to be in this place in the world and to hold this unbelievable space for these kids?
It really happened by accident, you could say, Rev. I moved from New York to Los Angeles, and I'm an actor, and so my move here was all about that. And really, within the first year, I was working. I was discovered walking down Crenshaw Boulevard, and someone told me about a play that was being done, and I did it. And the audience was filled with lots of different people, like Stevie Wonder, Denzel Washington. So it was very heady time.
Yeah.
I really was thrust into the heart of Hollywood. And then
Mm,
I did several made for TV films and commercials. So I was really on quite a trajectory. And I remember one evening just going home and thinking, well, is this it? Am I just going to become famous and make a lot of money? This is just so I did. And I hadn't even started Agape yet. I hadn't met my spiritual teacher, Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, yet. I just had a knowing within me that I was meant to do more. And of
mhm.
course, I'm not disparaging actors and the stars because many of them do so much more, you know.
Right.
However, for me, I knew that I was meant to do more than just, go and work and make the money and that was it. My soul wanted more. And it was like a
Mm,
prayer. I said, is this it? Come on, spirit. I was like, God, now give me more than this. And I got the more. I started volunteering in the juvenile halls and camps. And there was just something about that work that just grabbed my heart. And I think it was because the one of my first times going to the juvenile hall, I always talk about this. There were a line of young boys. This was a Barry J. Night of Juvenile Hall, which is in Silmar here in Southern California. It's a juvenile hall, which is where when a child is arrested, this is
mm,
where they're placed into the juvenile halls while they're
mm,
awaiting trial, while the system figures out exactly is to be done with them. Los
mhm,
Angeles County has three big juvenile halls. This is one of them. So I was volunteering there at the juvenile hall, and I saw a line of boys lined up. They were being taken somewhere, and they were all shackled at the hands and feet, shackled.
mm.
And most of them were black and brown. And
Right.
at the time, it was probably more black kids than anything else. So as a being and as a black woman, seeing that, you can imagine, Reverend Wendy, it really just sent shivers up my spine. I literally thought, where have I landed? What is this? And what in God's name did these children do that warrants them being shackled at the hands and feet? And they were shackled together.
Mm,
And I thought, this can't possibly be humane. That image has never left me. And it was in that moment that I vowed that I would do whatever I could do to stop that from happening. I wanted to know more about these children. I didn't know anything about the juvenile system. I didn't even know there was a juvenile system, and boy, have I learned, and it is a system. It's huge. A lot of money goes into it, and it just has so many different strands. But this is how I came to this work, Reverend Wendy. I would say, was that moment in my apartment at the time where I knew I was meant for more. That moment that really instigated and opened the doorway of my heart, so that when opportunities came, I was really ready. I was ready to go walk through them and accept them and do all that I could. And that's how the journey began. For the first 5 or so years, I just volunteered my services. Again, I didn't even know that there were contracts you could get to go and work in these spaces. I didn't know anything, and nobody was going to tell me either. So, isn't that interesting?
unfortunate.
Yeah, it's again, it just speaks to. I mean, it goes into so many arenas, Reverend Wendy. Just the idea of not enoughness. So
Yeah.
even individuals or other artists or the teachers, the probation officers that were there, that saw me driving, miles sometimes to get to these spaces. Not one of them uttered a word to say, young lady, you can get a contract to come and do this. Even though they saw the benefits of the work, they saw how powerful it was. They had kids who would leave the juvenile halls and be sentenced to the camps, tell their officers and teachers, call this woman, she's doing something that's good, and that's how the word grew, by word of mouth. And it was only until a couple of finally teachers and a director literally saw me teaching and said, are you on contract? And I said, no. And he said, well, you need to be. So, and that's how that began. And usually would be someone witnessing the program firsthand that would say, okay, let's give this woman a contract. Let's give them some support so they can do this, what they're doing, and do it better.
Mm.
that's how it started. It was just me by myself. I would go in and teach. I would take the writings. At the time, it was just a writing program. I would take their writings, type it up on my computer, then take it to Kinko's, have it put together as a book so I could give it to the students. You
Mm,
know, and I remember, I won't name the organization. They were doing the same thing, but the books were not given to the students. And I thought, wait a minute,
mm,
it's their work. You're binding them beautifully, but you're not making sure that each student who's in the book gets a book. No. So I said,
yeah.
I'm going to do it and give them their books, you know? And so that was the incentive for that as well.
Mm. Well, when I hear what you're saying, it speaks to different levels. Right.
Hmm.
I'm so moved. That's why I close my eyes, because I just move into my heart, because it's my heart that is just like, as I listen to you talk about this, because one, you're speaking to your life being of a greater purpose
Yes.
than the opportunity to be a working film, TV, stage actor. It's
Hmm.
feeling that evolutionary impulse that there's more for me here to express
Hmm.
and to use my position to
Yes.
uplift other people, which I believe is the meaning of education, to inspire,
Yes.
and the meaning of heart and art, right? The
That's right.
humanitarian aspect. So it's that invitation. And then really what I hear, and having been at a number of the presentations that you do that are so moving, is the empowerment that you offer some of these kids who are so deeply traumatized
Yes.
from their families and their
Yes.
upbringing, that the strategies that they have chosen
Hmm.
to ameliorate the pain or the perception of being disrespected is
Hmm.
what lands them into this system.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. They have been so traumatized.
Mhm.
And back when I started 27 years ago, the whole idea of trauma wasn't even a part of the, the thinking. It was
Right.
all about crime and punishment. So it
Mm.
didn't matter that, the girls on the street were placed there sometimes by their own families. That
Yeah.
didn't matter. They didn't take that into consideration. They didn't stop to think, wait a minute, no child grows up and says, yes, I'm going to sell my body on the street, and I'm talking about children,
Yeah.
and so my thinking was, wait a minute, they were not placed in these spaces of their own free will. The
Right.
adults that were in charge of them placed them in these spaces, put them in these positions. So therefore, they deserve a second chance at minimum. They need to be seen and heard as who they are. They need to be shown a different way. We have to model what empathy, compassion looks like for them so they can, imitate it. They can, try to follow that. You have to show children, because children, as you well know, they don't hear what we say, they hear what we do, and that's what they imitate. A child in a home, the parents, the adults are gods,
Yes.
and right, they
Yeah. Yeah.
literally, you are their god. And so these kids that have been incarcerated, many of them have been through incredible trauma. I mean, and so the strategies, as you said, that they choose is whether it's joining a gang or stealing a loaf of bread so they can eat, or being on the street because, well, grandma or my mom does it and she said it's okay. My mom took a look at me at 14 and decided I was ready.
Mm.
What do you do? And then we, as a society, arrest them and then we punish them. So what do
Yes.
they know of love? And then we want them to leave rehabilitated. How? In what world could that possibly happen? It doesn't happen if they haven't been shown the way. Then what are they to follow? And so when you look at the whole thing, you go, wait a minute, there's something quite wrong with this picture. It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say 27 years later, Rev, that that system is changing. Finally, there's enough of us saying, wait, wait, stop. And now LA County is moving to a what they call the care first model, to care first,
Ah,
and Yeah, so there's a lot of big changes happening. And
Oh,
I can honestly say Spirit Awakening has really been at the heart of that. We may not have been advocating politically, we were
mhm,
advocating inwardly with the youth themselves,
mhm,
teaching them how to stand up for themselves, teaching them how to release the saboteur, the imposter,
mhm,
so
mhm.
that they can really stand in their own agency and speak up for themselves, because I think that's really important and necessary.
Absolutely. You spoke to something that's so important is that whole concept of really modeling for the children, and also something that I remember when I first started doing trauma informed parent coaching, and I was around people that would talk about self-soothing, teach a child doing self-soothing, and I used to say, and I say it still, you can't expect a child who's never been soothed
Mm,
to know how to self-soothe. It
that's
doesn't
right.
line up.
That's
And
right.
if a child has grown up with only judgment and criticism, then it takes a minute for them to be able to let down the walls
That's right.
of defenses that they've built,
Mm-hmm.
manage navigating a life that is really hard.
That's right.
And you do that with what you
Mhm.
offer the kids, with the writing, with the classes, with the mentors. It's remarkable. And I think about some of the graduates that are now working
Yes,
for Spirit Awakening.
that's right. They are on our board of directors. They are ambassadors. And in fact, a young woman who was a participant in our program and other programs, she's a brilliant young woman. She is now chair of the probation oversight committee. Now, talk about, okay, so the people that used to jail her, she now gets to oversee what they are doing. I mean,
Wow.
right? Isn't that
Wow.
pretty extraordinary? And
I,
many of these young people are on boards of other organizations. They are out in the world using their voices, knowing that they've tapped into their authenticity, and that can never be taken away from them by anything or anyone.
yes.
So
Their
yeah,
essential self. You return them to their essential self.
that's right.
That's the work, right?
That's
That
that is
empowerment.
the work. Yes,
No
to
matter
return to the.
what anybody has told them, no
That's
matter
right.
how anybody labels them, because they have been exposed to Spirit Awakening, they
Hmm.
remember who they are at the very depth of their being.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. And with social media these days, I'm getting a lot of texts and DMs from former participants. I got one the other day, and I think he'll be there on Friday. A
Right.
young man named Diamond, and he just was thanking me. And many of them do. They reach out and they say, "Miss Akuya, I don't know if you remember me, but I just want to thank you for your kindness. I just want to thank you for this or that." Oh my word. It's really astonishing to me,
Yeah.
and sometimes it reminds me, even if it looks like they're not interested, because the teenage years, they're still teenagers, and so they have that whole swagger, and I don't care, go on and thrill me. And if it looks like they're disinterested, then something is, we are planting seeds. We are
Absolutely.
definitely planting seeds, and I'm beginning to see the fruits of all of that now, with just the gratitude that pours in, whether it's a Facebook message or an Instagram message, just thanking me and Spirit Awakening for being there for them, for showing them kindness,
Mm.
for helping them. It's really, it's incredible. It's
It
incredible.
is. It's so life affirming. I mean,
It really
when
is.
I, I mean, and you've done so. I want to talk about Friday night, and I want to acknowledge you as an actress.
Mhm.
You are a working actress. You are
That's
in
right.
the business,
That's
and
right.
so you're carrying this message wherever you go, and
Mhm.
you also did this incredible one woman show that is so moving.
Thank you. That's how, again, nothing, is a straight line. So again, that's really in the big picture how all this really started, was with the one woman show, doing that. And at the time, it was very provocative. A lot of People really, it provoked things in people.
Right.
Fortunately, because of the way things are set up, I got really great reviews. So that helped to move me along and be able to travel the country with it. And I have to tell you, Reverend Wendy, it was really amazing to when I would get a booking and someone would at the time would pay me $5,000, $10,000 for something I wrote. It
Yeah.
was so empowering for me as an artist to know that I had that capacity and capability to create works, that would be able to take care of me as well. And
Mm.
so, with Spirit Awakening, the play, which gave birth to the foundation, we've now made it into a film because my thinking is if the play can do this, what can the film do? Because of
Mm.
course, the film can reach more people. The film can be playing the same day all over the world. So
Yes.
I just, I thought, okay, yeah, this is what I was meant to do. And during COVID, the idea came to film it, not just as a straight one woman play, but to really make it cinematic. So that was the challenge I gave to myself artistically. How do I make this cinematic? And I think we did it. So I'm really excited to bring that forth out into the world. Friday, June 30th, we will play two scenes from the film. So it's like yeah. So I'm really excited to share that with people. And we're in post production. Our intention is to have it done by the end of the year or by spring of 2024 at the latest, so that we can then put it out in the world.
Oh, well, I please, I know I'll know when it is.
Oh,
I want to
yeah.
have you back and assist you. And something you said uh, just struck a chord. You said that nothing is a straight line, and
Mhm.
what it reminds me of is that another old saying: "Wax over here, shine over there."
Yep,
So many times the Western mind has this, preconceived idea. I'm going to walk this way. I'm going to do
exactly.
this. And what I have learned in my own life, which I'm sure you can speak to, is when we receive a vision, when we receive that inner prompting to go forward and do something, what the fine print is the living into it. It's like prayer
Yeah,
is a living entity of the
that's right.
highest vibration. These visions, they're alive.
That's
So
right.
we get to listen with the inner ear
That's
and
right.
our inner heart as to where we are to go,
That's
what
right.
we are to do, what is it for us to do.
Absolutely. And the vision, when it comes, as you know, I'm sure, it prepares you, it remakes you, it,
Mm,
it reimagines you, because the person who receives the vision is not the same person that realizes the vision.
yes.
So it's when I share this with my students, I always liken it to an athlete. When an athlete has an idea, I want to be in the Olympics. Well, at the start, when you have the idea, then you start training, and then 4 years later, you're in the Olympics. Well, you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, wow, my body has changed. You've been training. So everything changes. So when you receive the vision, the first thing to know is that, oh, wow, it's going to change me. I'm going to grow. Something's about to go down, because it's not a straight line. It's not just, okay, then I'm going to do this, then this will happen, then I'll do this, and I'll, no, 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 no. You wax over here, you shine over there. It's true. It'll
Yeah.
take you to different places and spaces, and all these things are happening all at the same time. And really and sometimes it's messy,
Yeah.
and yeah,
And
it's,
discouraging and,
oh, yes,
hands thrown up in the air like, okay, spirit, so you handed me this, so you gave me this. Okay, so
that's right.
use me.
That's right.
Yeah,
And I have to share this. It keeps coming up, so I'm meant to share, I'm sure.
please.
Just about a month ago, I went to a dinner with the Liberty Hill Foundation. They're a donation foundation, an amazing organization. And that particular evening, that day had been a very hard day. I'd had quite a rough interaction with one of the probation directors that we work with. And honestly, Reverend Wendy, I have to tell you, that moment, I really felt like I've had enough. After
Mm,
27 years, the way this person spoke with me I just don't deserve that. I don't want to keep doing this anymore. So I was really low,
Mm,
really low. But I went to the dinner. I had to go. And I was glad I did. And I'm sitting there, and people could feel my energy wasn't as, and this young woman comes and sits next to me in front of everyone. And she said, Miss Akuya, I don't know if you remember me. My name is Marina. Um, but I just want you to know that your program saved my life.
mm,
Had it not been for your program, I wouldn't be who I am today and wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. Then the tears are rolling down because that
mm.
moment, I mean, that day had been such a hard day. And she just, I couldn't have written this. If this was a script, you'd say that would never happen because
Right.
this was in front of donors. I mean, it's the kind of,
The kind of
testimony.
support you want.
Exactly. I couldn't have scripted it better. And she was so sincere and she was in tears. And she said, the work you did, the way you would come into the rooms when we were there incarcerated. And she said, after leaving the juvenile side, she did go to prison for 3 years. And she said it was the work we did at Spirit Awakening that kept her alive and kept her going.
Wow.
I mean, Reverend Wendy, so now she is helping others. She'll be there Friday to give her own testimony, and I remember her. I remember her very well. And so that just lifted me and I thought, okay, I am meant to continue, because like I said, that day I was just feeling so low. And then this flower comes up to me and says, pretty much keep going because it saved lives and it saved mine. So I know, isn't that amazing?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
It's so beautiful, and it reminds me, your experience reminds me of what our beloved spiritual teacher has taught. Mediocrity always attacks excellence.
that's right. It always does, doesn't it? Yeah,
Does. It
yeah.
does. And when our nervous systems are dysregulated because we're in that interaction with that
Hmm.
person, we can forget.
That's right.
We can
That's
forget that.
right.
But that's the truth.
That is the truth. And
Yeah.
we're in such an age of mediocrity now, aren't we, Reverend Wendy? I mean, I look at even the art that's put out, by our artists, and I just go, really? Is this the best we can do? I look at the music that's out there,
Oh, I
you
know.
know. That's why I'm so glad John and Joy May will be part of the event on Friday, because it's healing, beautiful music,
Yes.
because you listen to the radio and you go, really? This
Yeah.
cannot be the best. I'm looking at a lot of TV shows now, and most of them are so dark. I mean, they just, so I think collectively, human beings are very traumatized,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, I mean, and that's what we're seeing. And then here we are to
Yeah.
remind everyone that no, wait a minute, life is good, life is beautiful. We have an amazing planet. We've been given, this opportunity to facilitate a rich, beautiful, colorful life.
Mm,
Let's do that. Let's really be inclusive and celebrate the diversity of life, in all
mm,
of its magic and colorfulness and weirdness. It's all good. We don't have to all conform to one thing or have the music be one way. It's anyway. I'm so glad we're here doing what we do.
I am too. And I would love for you to share more about Friday night so
Ooh,
that
so
people that will watch this and
mhm.
can join us. So
Yes.
please say more about Friday night.
Friday. Oh, sure. Friday night is Spirit Awakenings open house at the Skirball Cultural Center here in Los Angeles in Southern California. And it's really an opportunity for anyone who's heard about us or who has not heard about us to come and check us out and see the impact of the work we do for themselves. So it's a fundraiser being done a little bit differently because it's free admission because
Mhm.
I really wanted to make sure, nothing stopped anyone from coming check us out.
Mm.
And so they'll get to see some of the artwork. We're auctioning off a handful of the artwork made by our students. They'll get to hear some of the spoken word. They'll hear the beautiful music by our mentors like Joy May. And they'll also get to hear about what we're doing. Some of the projects we have in the pipeline, like the Spirit Awakening Wellness Center, which I keep seeing you being a part of that, Reverend Wendy.
Oh,
I would love that.
I
You
would be
know,
honored.
Oh my goodness. Spirit Home, a new way of fostering young people. So we have a lot of things in the pipeline, and it's going to require support and resources. So this was the way to say, hey, y'all, come check us out. If you're moved by anything you see or hear or felt today, please step up and support in whatever ways you can.
Mm.
And whether that is introducing us to someone, because that's always very powerful. And then,
Yes.
of course, we're also premiering, we have a new theatrical project called Tales from the Cell Block. And I'm so excited because it'll be often we do the spoken word of the young people. This will be really spoken word from our perspective, our experiences going into these spaces. And so Michael Dyer and William B.T. Taylor will be premiering monologues that evening. And then we'll, of course, end with the two scenes from the film.
Mm.
So I think it's really going to be a wonderful evening, very eclectic. And also, I think it really shows how forward thinking Spirit Awakening is,
Mm.
that we're not just always asking for donations or writing grants, and we must do that. However, we're also thinking strategically, what are the things that we do, some of which can be brought to the general public so they can participate, whether it's for a fee or for a donation, whatever. So I'm really excited that we have those projects in the pipeline. And I do want to also just give a shout out to my team. I have an extraordinary team, Reverend
You
Wendy.
do.
Yes, from the art director, Masaso Chunya, who is an amazing artist. I mean, his work is so brilliant,
Mm.
and then Michael and BT and Amma and Patty and Hunter. I
Yeah.
could name them all. Corey, Tyler, most of them. I
Yeah.
do have a really great team of artists that work with me that are so dedicated, so committed. And without their support and their love, we wouldn't be where we are now. So I'm really proud of that too, that I started as a one woman show, literally, and have been able to really gather some of the great artists in LA County and beyond to work with us. I'm really
Mm.
proud of that.
So beautiful. It's
Mhm.
the, build it and they will come.
That's
Honor,
right.
honor that, and just the fact that you can give people an opportunity, right? As we speak, when we pray, the opportunity to express their gifts, skills, talents,
Yes,
capacities, and you've created this exquisite container that's of service to upliftment
yes.
to these children incarcerated at Promise
I
Youth,
promise.
at
That's right.
Promise Youth, and you've given them this opportunity to express their gifts, skills, talents, and
Yeah,
capacities to help these other kids draw forth their own.
that's right. That's
So
right.
it's huge what you're doing. I mean, it just reminds me of never ever underestimate the power and the value of what you do.
That's right. That's right. And we must never underestimate the power and the value of what we each have to offer,
Yes.
and the power we each carry, that we are. We are powerful beings. We are beautiful
Yes.
beings,
Yes.
and we mustn't underestimate that, you
Never.
know. Hmm.
No. No, that each of us carries that within them, that
That's right.
within our souls, and you just never know. It's your uh, sharing about that moment when mediocrity was attacking excellence, and it
Mhm.
really discouraged you, and then you show up at this event, and this sweet, young woman, as you called her,
Yeah,
the flower, came up to you and thanked you for saving her life.
that's
You know,
right. I
so
know it's poetic, isn't it?
yeah.
Because you can't make that up. If I wrote that in a script, it would feel exaggerated, or come
Right.
on, after
Right.
that day and then this happens, sure, but
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Yeah.
And that was so clear to me, life telling me, no, you're on the right path, keep doing what you're doing, and let the mediocrity attack you. We got you. That was
Yes.
such a moment of life, saying, we got your back, Akuyo.
Yes.
Don't back down.
Yes.
Whew.
Yes. Powerful. So, as we bring this particular dialogue to a close, will you please let people know how they can reach you and Spirit Awakening?
Sure, they can go to our website at www.spiritawakening, all one word, spiritawakening.org. And they'll have a way to reach me. They can send me an email from there. They can call, our office numbers there. They can even make reservations for Friday's event from our website as well. So I look forward to hearing from some of the, I know, really awakened, conscious people that listen to you and follow you and love you. So
Yeah.
all are welcome Friday.
Wonderful. Well, I will also make sure that people that in the show liner notes, you all have a way to connect with Okoyo and to attend Friday night. And if you can't attend Friday night, please consider sending a love donation,
Yeah.
sending your love through a donation, which will
Mhm.
support this fabulous organization in thriving and helping others. So thank you, Okoyo, Mama Okoyo, for being here and for your beautiful, brilliant soul self. I'm just so honored to know you and the
Mhm.
work you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Wendy.
Absolutely.
Ditto. I'm honored to be with you and to be
Mm,
kindred spirits with you, and to I get to love you, Reverend Wendy, and that's like,
mm.
okay. I get to love Reverend Wendy Silvers.
Ditto,
Me.
ditto, ditto.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Same, same. Thank you. So, everyone, that is the Awakened Mother show for today. I invite you to stay connected, to follow, to like, to share, to subscribe. And as I say, I want you to know that you are powerful beyond measure, loved beyond description, and a force for good in the world. So go forth and spread your magic everywhere you go, because as we've talked about, you just never know how that smile, how that hug, how that acknowledgement will change somebody's life. So I look forward to seeing you very soon. Peace and many blessings.